And just like Tetra, we've been around for a while. And I'm going to let you know more about what we are. I see some familiar faces. We have Dr. Leonard Lai from Newfoundland joining us. So I thank you for that, Leonard. Of course, he's 4 hours ahead, so he didn't have to get up as early, but nevertheless, I really appreciate the support. And this makes
4.5 hours.
Yes.
Not
Well,
four.
there you go. So I got to talk to Leonard yesterday, so this is a truly national presence, and I am greatly appreciated as well. And of course, thank you to Tetra's Executive Director, Ruby Ng, who's joining us. It is 9 a.m. where she is, so she's joining with coffee, as I recommend that you do. So hopefully you have fun throughout the day. And again, my name is Eric Mullen Dyke. I've had the privilege of being with Tetra. I'm not going to tell you how many years, but a good part of my adult life, let's say it that way. And I have the privilege of being the national coordinator. And what that really means more than anything else to me is I get a chance to work with a lot of great people, great coordinators, and a lot of great volunteers. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen here. And another thing we're going to fully embrace today is any glitches. We're just going to, you can laugh at me all you want, and we're just going to ride through them. And hopefully, no matter what happens, you learn more about Tetra than what you started with. So I'm going to select my PowerPoint here, and I'm going to share, hopefully, my computer sound correctly. Okay. Now we're going to go full screen. Can everybody see the PowerPoint all right? Okay. I'm getting some nods. It's this is and again, don't be shy. All right. Thanks so much, Joseph, for the thumbs up there. Feel free to talk to me. I see a lot of interactive faces, but a lot of people being polite and quiet. How Canadian of you. So again, as you want to say things, do let me know. But again, you are going to hear other speakers throughout the day, but I have the privilege of kind of giving you an overview. So I always figure when in doubt, let's start at the beginning and why we're here today. And so for those who don't know, this is a picture of our founder, Sam Sullivan. And in Sam's own humor, he would say he was the worst skier in the world. When he was 19 years old, he's out there skiing, being active in Vancouver, the way people do, and he had an accident and broke his neck. And this was back in the 80s, so it's not as many opportunities for people with disabilities back then, so that meant a long extensive rehab. He had to figure out who he was. And what he knew for sure is, the way Sam describes it, is he was lying there, it was a hard time, and very serious thoughts, depressive thoughts, and he decided, I'm going to have to kill myself. And what he meant by that is he's saying goodbye to the able-bodied person of him. And he's going to move forward and create a new him that lives actively with a disability. And the way Sam describes creating the Disability Foundation was self-preservation. He had a lot of time to think about what I want to do. How can I be active with my life? And the first thing he was really aware of is that rehab has done what it can do, and doctors have done what they can do, and I want to get back to living independently, and I need to change my environment. And who does that better than engineers? When he was lying there, he was thinking, I need to change my physical space, and how am I going to do that? He was on limited income, and he knew the brilliance of engineers, but he knew he couldn't afford it. And so I always like telling the story because it reminds us that great things can happen by one connection. So what he did is he sat down and he wrote a letter, old school style, to the Society of Professional Engineers of BC. And he explained who he was and that he needed some things created, and he just wanted to meet with an engineer and see what could happen. So they said, well, we'll put this letter in our newsletter to our membership, and we'll see what happens. Well, what happens is it was answered by a retired volunteer named Paul Chermak. Paul was originally from Czechoslovakia, and Paul's own story was he was also looking for a restart. His wife had passed away, and the story goes that he had looked at the map and he thought, you know what, Canada's far enough away for me to restart. So he kind of put his finger on the map and thought Canada, Vancouver, that's a good way to go about it. And Sam and Paul met. And when they met back in the 80s, Sam's main focus was just getting into his freezer or having independence to do things. And so they originally met for coffee, and I think right from coffee, they ended up going to Sam's apartment. And Paul, the engineer that would end up volunteering, he said, I can see why you can't open the fridge, because Sam's tetraplegic, we call it now, but again, his forelimbs are affected. He can't make a fist. So we all know the fridge kind of sticks, right, to keep things cold. So Sam couldn't get his hand in there. So Paul goes, well, all you need is some leverage. So he takes a coat hanger, he extends that, and Sam's able to slide the coat hanger in, use the hook, and all of a sudden he can get his freezer open. And then the next thing, Sam says, you know, when I go to butter my bread, the butter always falls off. I have trouble turning my wrist, so Paul takes the knife and he melts it over a burner, and it creates a ridge in the knife. And all of a sudden, the butter stays on Sam's knife, and he can butter with dignity and independence. And it completely changed his diet. And Sam would go on to have over 200 devices made, many of them by Paul and other volunteers. And I've left this shot up on the screen because it really shows what drive and also devices can help you do. This is a picture of Sam in 2006. Maybe some of you watching might remember this visual. This is the closing ceremonies in Turin, Italy. And as is custom, Sam was the mayor at the time. So the mayor of the next host city, which of course Vancouver was proud to be in 2010, accepts the Olympic flag. And even in this moment, which was super powerful, and Sam is waving the flag independently like any other mayor did, but he's able to do that by a Tetra device. We can all see how big that flag is. And a customized flag holder was designed through Tetra volunteers like Jay Drew, who put hours into so Sam could have the flag in the holder, and if he's waving it around, we didn't want it to tip and block his face, and it worked exactly the way we hoped. So right there in that iconic picture is a Tetra device, and that's kind of Sam's backstory. And of course, very early on, he realized if he could benefit from it, other people could as well. So since 1987, Tetra's been doing what we do, and as one of my colleagues, David Fong, says, Tetra does what nobody else does. And we're going to get into that here. So for those who are interested, Tetra is part of the Disability Foundation. The Disability Foundation encompasses has other societies. And kind of our vision as a society, if you're joining us for the first time, is to empower and inspire people with physical disabilities to reimagine what's possible. Now, I just want to clarify, we say physical because that's our history, that's our background, that's Sam's history as a founder. But we have since grown in our society, and of course, if you have other disabilities, other challenges, of course, you can participate in our other programs. And I just wanted to show this. This is what makes up our foundation. And I'm going to show a couple of examples of how Tetra also helps these other societies and how Tetra kind of weaves in through. And then we'll really break down what Tetra's all about. But when you think of the Disability Foundation, think of these societies. All of these are independent charities with their own registered charitable number and offer different experiences, but work together, as I said, to work on that vision. So one of our programs is BC Moss, and I just wanted to show this because maybe you've heard of our society before, and this trail rider vehicle, this was one of Tetra's projects. So recreation is really important, and we've seen that with COVID, getting out there and connecting. So this vehicle originally started as a Tetra device. Remember I said Sam met with Paul about going for a cup of coffee? So one of their meetings was, he said, I want to go hiking. And Paul said, okay. And Sam said, obviously I can't walk to do it. I can't, but I want to be out in nature. And so literally things were sketched on a napkin, and Paul and Sam said, well, you need something sitting. Sam said, like a lounge chair. And so Paul thought this was going to be a long-term project, that he would have months to do it. And he said to Sam, when do you want to do this? And he said, oh, in a couple weeks. So Paul smiled, and again, another volunteer, Jay Drew, helped them weld things together. And this is what we have today. But if you can picture kind of an aluminum chair that Sam was sitting in, but he did get out in nature. And that's an example of a Tetra device. So if you've ever seen this vehicle, the Trail Rider, they're all fabricated locally, and we sell them throughout Canada, but it all started with a Tetra volunteer. So another thing that's happening right now is Digga and gardening. And Tetra also helps Digga by making raised beds. I thought I'd show these because I'd start with these because these are devices that anybody can use, right? We're joining here today as a group, and I wanted to share an example. We're going to get into Tetra's customization, but here's an example of how Tetra can make one device and it can help many people. So again, it's raised beds that you can use from a walker, scooter, wheelchair. The other thing Tetra is proud to offer and help with is customized tools. This is the customization. This is the part of what does Tetra do? And Dr. Leonard Lai and I were talking about yesterday, Tetra makes things for individual needs. Tetra does things that no one else does. And when I say Tetra, I mean our clients give their input and our volunteers make the devices. So that's the other thing. When you think of Tetra, you as the individual asking the request, we need your feedback. We need to know what works for you because our volunteers are going to make it for you. So here's an example. Usually most of the garden tools I've seen, you have a handle at the end and you work in the garden that way. But for this woman here, you can see her body works a little bit differently. It's easier if the handle is kind of halfway up the tool. The trowel has been bent so she can work at that angle, and it slides nicely up her arms so she doesn't have to worry about dropping it. But it gives her that level of independence. And I just thought I'd play a video here so you can hear from the clients themselves what these modifications mean to them. Now, please let me know if the volume is too loud or needs to be adjusted, and we'll do our best, or if you can hear.
Hi, I'm Jean Donaldson. I've been gardening at Digga for 3 years. I gardened as a child with a victory garden during World War II, and I've been a gardener all my life, but my physical condition has deteriorated. I no longer can get up off the ground, so I can't do any kind of traditional gardening anymore.
To get out there and to enjoy the natural process, to break away from the urban life we lead here in Vancouver, Digga has given us a great opportunity to do this that we wouldn't otherwise have.
Digga provides raised beds so that I can garden from a sitting position, and an irrigation system so I don't have to worry about the plants thriving, and I can simply concentrate on the fun part of gardening, which is the planting, the harvest.
The coordinator for the disabled gardeners said that the gardeners were not able to get out here every single day, and in the summer the plants needed watering every day. So I figured the easiest way to solve that problem was to install an automatic timer on the standpipe that comes up from the city water supply and the associated watering system. So you set the timer to water every day for 15 minutes, and it does that.
Well, what does enter into it is the satisfaction of eating what you planted, and also the fact that you've got fresh produce. That's hard to beat.
And then the coordinator for the disabled gardeners said, oh yeah, well, we have another problem, and that is the plywood was rotting and was soft and in danger of collapsing. So we said we could make some new beds. And the only difference was we made it out of lumber instead of plywood, because the plywood gets wet and it loses a little bit of its strength when it gets wet. So plywood is just inherently weaker than lumber.
I'm really grateful to Tetra and Digga and George. It makes possible something I could not do anymore at all on my own, and it's a real upper of an experience.
So again, I thought I'd share that because we're meeting as a group, and I thought this was a way to show how one device can help many people. But now to get right into Tetra itself, again, here's our logo that hopefully you've seen, and you might be wondering, what does Tetra mean? What does, and you can see it says of North America and customized devices. And how did they come up with that logo? So you've kind of heard me, we've talked about Sam's story and what happened to him as far as an injury, but how the logo came to be is he went to a doctor. And again, just like we're doing today, we're exchanging information and ideas. And Sam wanted just a group where people with disabilities could get together and talk about challenges and most importantly, ways to overcome them. And, you know, he was having trouble coming up with a name and he said, I don't want to be called the quadriplegics. That doesn't sound right. That's too medical. And the doctor said, well, you know, Tetra means four. Your four limbs are affected. It's a Greek word. And Sam thought that was a softer way of saying it, but still had a connection to his disability. And so when you look at the logo, it's split into four in honor of Sam having those four limbs affected, his two legs and his two arms. And the screw is also, or the logo, pardon me, is also supposed to be a screw in honor of a handy person working on a device. So it's supposed to be active and be a nod to the customized devices that Tetra's creating. So if you ever wonder how did they come up with Tetra and what's the logo supposed to mean? So hopefully when you look at it, it looks proactive and is in honor of the volunteer as well, making the device. Okay, so we've talked about the Disability Foundation's mission, which of course Tetra itself carries out. But here is Tetra's mission: to provide opportunities for people with disabilities. And notice we say the word disabilities, so it's not just physical, to provide opportunities for people with disabilities to empower their individual journey. And you're going to hear a lot of that today. It's for individuals, it's customized devices, it's what works for you. Now, we're very proud to say that of the societies that I mentioned, I showed at the beginning that are part of the Disability Foundation, Tetra is a national organization. I already gave a shout out to our coordinator, Leonard Lai. Leonard's been involved with Tetra since 1996. So he was one of the, you know, he's our longest, I think, active coordinator, and he does projects in Newfoundland. He has 3 on the go. So you can see we are national across the board. We have 30 chapters across Canada. We are focused a lot in Canada. We also have volunteers who do projects in the States. We have Utah, we have Columbus, and we have a volunteer who will take on things even in Los Angeles. Recently in Columbus, a ball launcher was made that launches a baseball and a football. So again, when you look at the map, think of Tetra nationally, and then of course the volunteers. And I do want to make a point of saying it's not only technical, it's also helping us tell our stories and outreach. So if you're watching today and you feel inspired, but you think, I'm not technical, I don't have a workshop, I can't build stuff, well, let me tell you, I'm just excited to be on Zoom. That was a technical accomplishment for me. So Ruby will tell you, I'm not technical either, but if you have a passion to help us tell our story, then you can be an outreach volunteer. So I really want you to come away today with thinking about what Tetra could do for you on your own journey as far as a device, or if you think, I really want to be a part of this organization, don't let the technical aspect stop you from getting involved. With that being said, I'll just read this here. Tetra is dedicated to assisting people with disabilities to achieve an independent and fulfilling lives, one assistive device at a time. Now, we realize everybody has a fulfilling life in their own way, but a lot of times, if you have a disability, life can be more challenging. And what Tetra believes is maybe it doesn't need to be so challenging. You know, I've heard it said that people are not hindered by who they are, but their own environment. And if Tetra can help unhinder that environment, let's imagine what's possible. Tetra is powered by skilled volunteers who work one-on-one with people to create customized solutions. Again, think about that word. That means something for you, for your individual needs. So the other thing I want to point out here is, as you can see hopefully in this picture, they're meeting at the client's home. And definitely during this time of COVID, I can tell you that devices are still being created. There's meetings on Zoom, there's designing. And if you're thinking, I'd love to meet with a volunteer, but I'm most comfortable at home, that's understandable. What happens is the volunteer will come to you. And so if you think, I'd love to meet with somebody, but where do I have to go? With your permission, the volunteer comes to you. So, and again, here are some examples. A modified lap tray, you can see different aspects of your life. So the one picture, hopefully you can see it. We all need to do meal prep and eat healthy, and definitely living in Vancouver, not everything is fully adaptive or customized to our needs. So this tray was designed, she's in a power chair, she can drive her chair. This tray is on wheels, it's adjustable, and she can wheel it right up to the fridge. And when we started the presentation, we saw Sam at the closing ceremonies of the Olympics. This lady here was making bouquets for the Paralympics that follow right after the Olympics. And she doesn't have the same mobility in both of her arms. So this was a flower holder that was made for her so she could arrange the bouquets and focus on her skills, her creativity with the flowers, and not worry about having to hold the flowers. So that was a bouquet holder. And that helped her do her job. So for all aspects of life, Tetras around. Now we are going to talk about in another presentation later today about our database, but I did just want to put a slide in here because sometimes it's hard to think about what we need. And so you could go to our online database. We like to refer to it as an eBay of customized devices. So this is input from our volunteers, things they've created. You can get a description, we have pictures, and if you are an engineer, and also list what the device was made for. So this is just to give you an idea. If you're like, maybe I could use Tetra, but I don't know where to start, go on our website, look and see what we have, go through the database. But let's say you definitely know, hey, these Tetra guys, I want to give them a shot. Then you would go to our request for assistance. So that's right on the main page of our website. Right when you go there, you scroll down and it says ask for help. And I know that can be really tough. And definitely I've had a disability all my life, and my focus was to be independent and what I could do for myself. And I would just say, I know that it can be challenging to reach out and ask for that help. But what I've learned and continue to learn is sometimes when we get something made for us or we have that help, then it can help us get that level of independence that we want and deserve. So here is our form here. We met as a group yesterday and discussed how we could make that easier. So I just wanted you to know it is fillable online. You can just type it in. It does work with voice activation. If you were having a challenge, you could give me a call and we could fill it out online together. We still receive requests that are faxed in. We receive requests verbally that we can transcribe. So we are aware that, our form, it's fairly easy, but it may not be as easy as it could be. But again, if you were to contact me or somebody at Tetra, we would help you take that request down. And many coordinators like Leonard would meet with you, can meet with you in person or would help you take it down verbally. So if you look at this form and you're having a bit of trouble, reach out to us, we would help you. So here are just some other project ideas. People have asked me how Tetra has changed over the years, and one of the things that's top of my mind is more requests for cell phones, iPads, technology, how we communicate. The other part that's near and dear to the volunteer and of course the client, hopefully you can see here, is we want to make a device that you're going to feel comfortable using. And hopefully when you use it, you're proud of it and you feel it gives you an independence. So wherever possible, we try to blend it in with your environment. So obviously this young boy here, he's in his wheelchair a lot of the time, as many wheelchair users are. So this holder attaches to his chair and it's adjustable, and he and his phone are face to face. Again, when something's designed for you, you get to give input, and we want you to feel comfortable using it. So, and then of course, can't go wrong, right? Every picture should have a smiling baby. So that's another thing that has been really, empowering to see. More parents with disabilities are raising their children independently and coming to Tetra. So I don't even know if you can tell, but you might be able to see the handle sticking out. This mother is in a wheelchair. And as we all can imagine, if you're in a permanent sitting position, unless you have really long arms, it's tough to reach over the bars of the crib, right? And so one of the ways, so how could we fix that? So this crib has been raised, so you can already see mother and baby are at eye level, and then you can kind of see how the doors are folding, right? So they changed the crib. Instead of having to reach up over, they put the crib on a track, and they made the crib bars like bifold doors. And you can see, of course, the latches are on the outside. So the baby, of course, can't open them. He's safe. And then mother and baby are face to face. The crib recloses up. I'm happy to tell you this lady used her crib to raise 2 children. And then another great thing in our community is sometimes when a crib's created and it's no longer needed for one family, they will share it with other clients. So Tetra cribs continue to live on, and definitely there's a number of designs. Again, check out our database. Here's a larger picture of what I showed earlier. So, and again, here in this picture, hopefully you can see better, there is a hand-turned screw that she can use to adjust the angle of the table. So if she wants to read, if she wants to raise or lower it, if she's carrying a bunch of food and she wants to make sure it doesn't tilt off, she can adjust it on a screw, and it's also on wheels. And then, of course, children. I will get questions. Do you do projects for children? And with Ruby watching on, I will say, yes, we do, absolutely, and we want to do more, right? Start them young. That's what happened for me. That's why I'm involved in this world, because my parents thought, get out there, be active, and do stuff. And I was fully integrated from as far back as I can remember, and the interest that I have now I developed as a child. And so do we do projects for kids? Yes, we do, absolutely. I've seen requests for as young as 4 to as old as 95. So that's quite a range of age ranges, just like our device is quite diverse. So, and I have a video for this project, so we're gonna play that.
When I was 4, I had a brain tumor and it affected my left side. So when I was playing recorders in my music class, I couldn't fit in.
This is the 5th recorder that I have modified, and Jordan's is a little bit different because he only has one hand that he can use. So in recorders, if you want to play number 4, 5, or 6 down here, you also have to have 1, 2, and 3 closed. With Jordan, he could press down with his thumb, close the upper 3, and then play with 4, 5, and 6 down below with his one hand. This is just a support for him, and it's just a coat hanger, that's all.
Greg, thank you very much for making me able to fit in with everybody else and be able to play. And I love this. I play it a lot and have fun.
So I always like that video for a number of reasons. I think it really captures Tetra on a number of aspects. A, the device does not have to be complicated, but if it works for you, that's all that matters. And then as the young boy said, I have fun, I fit in, and it's made for his needs. And that's really what we're all about. And of course, you've seen some of our volunteers in the videos. So again, join our team. Do you love to design and build? And even if you don't have your own workshop, we're having our monthly meetings on Zoom, so you could exchange ideas. If you have a a problem-solving mind. If you you could join our meetings on Zoom, and what happens is we talk about ongoing projects. And the best part of the meeting, if you've attended any Tetra volunteer meeting anywhere in our chapters, is a challenge is out on the table and the volunteers work together to solve it. And they work as a team. One person might be able to weld aluminum. One person has a background in woodworking. One person's a great sewer and knows how to make it look good for the client. And people come together for the common goal. And then, of course, we talked about outreach. Are you good on social media? Tetra has a lot going on. The Disability Foundation has a lot going on, which means we have a lot of stories to tell. So if you are better at Facebook than I am, and you know the power of a hashtag, maybe you're intrigued, and our communication team is always looking for more stories to tell and always looking for people who can help us do that. So again, I don't want you to come away from today thinking, I can't build, I can't be a part. Even if you're out in your community and you tell people about Tetra, you've helped be a volunteer, you've helped create awareness, because we are very proud of how long we've been around. But we talked about it yesterday. We can always do better to make sure more people know about us. So as you're out in your daily life, feel empowered to tell people about Tetra in your own circle, because you never know where that could lead. So here's just some pictures, and hopefully you can see here. Here's the little boy. So remember a couple slides ago, he looked like he was 6 months old, and so you can literally grow with Tetra, because there he is now able to stand up in the crib. There's the mom, and here's the 2 volunteers that made it. Here is our university students. I should mention that on stream 1 at 10 o'clock, if you are a student, if you're taking some type of engineering and you want to know how I can be involved, we have a number of university clubs. So again, it's not based on age if you can volunteer, it's based on your passion and your skill set. So over on stream 1, you can learn more about university clubs and how to be involved. Now this is for people who are joining in Vancouver. I did want to mention other aspects of Tetra. We have, if you wanted to build things for yourself, we have a Tetra woodworking shop program. Remember the volunteer from the gardening video, George Shipley? Well, he for years has been recruiting volunteers that work with wood. And for some of you who are joining in Vancouver, you might know the name, the Blossom Spinal Cord Center. It's on West 10th, and it's a fairly new building in VGH. Well, when that new building was created, Tetra is always happy to get their foot in the door. So we're in the basement of the building. We have a workshop that's fully customized, and the workshop is open on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's only $10 to attend, and much like everything else in Tetra, you can see it's designed so you can get your wheelchair underneath, and we have volunteers that will help you learn how to work with wood. And I'm proud to say I bought some of the stuff that people have created for Christmas gifts last year. So that's another aspect of Tetra. Again, this is in Vancouver, but Tuesdays and Thursdays. And George will not forgive me if I don't mention he is looking for more volunteers. So if you are watching and if you like to teach and you are custom with wood, and they're a great group of people at the workshop and they all get along, and if you want to volunteer in that way, please do. So, okay. And then I just wanted to mention, we do also have a social venture. We have Tetra Gear, and we sell Tetra Gear online. And so it is the fall season. Things are getting darker. As we know, if we use a wheelchair, if we use a mobility aid, we're sitting lower. People have a ton of stuff on their mind, especially right now. And for the super busy people, sometimes, unfortunately, they're on their phones while they're driving, and people may not be paying attention. And, people can be hit in crosswalks. So this Tetra Gear here, we have 4 different versions. We have dual strips. We have dual strips with an aerial. So this here is an aerial. It's the same one I have on my chair. It won't light up. as effectively, because of course I got lights right over top of me, but you can see how it glows in the picture. You can change the color. It's on a rechargeable battery, a lithium battery, in a control that tucks alongside the chair, and it's tetragear.com. So it's available online. And you know, at this point, to help you have a unit, there is different price points, and we could work with you on that. So that's another thing to check out. That is a social venture, which means we are selling those, and then any of the proceeds from TetraGear go back into supporting our other devices. I should mention, if you're wondering, all of this stuff looks great, but what does it cost? Well, we are a nonprofit. So we like to say it's great customized devices made affordably, which means what can you afford? If you want to make a donation and you want to contribute, that's great. If you can't, that's okay. As I said before, our founder, Sam Sullivan, he started it, Tetra, and he didn't have any money. So I don't want money to be a reason why you wouldn't reach out to Tetra. Our goal is to help you have independence, not be stressed out about price. Again, if you can contribute towards that, that's great. And if not, we as an organization will reimburse the volunteers. And again, the volunteers are giving of their time. They're there because they want to be. I heard it say yesterday that a reward to the volunteer is making the device. And they want to meet with you and they want to help. And I've seen volunteers and clients become friends. And so one way that, you know, we will cover any costs if you can't, and that's a way to connect. So I just wanted to say it's done affordably. And I do know that there's some things in chat. I only have a couple more slides, and then I will definitely answer any questions. So if you're wondering, is he going to see my chat message? I will do my best to get to those as well. And I also just wanted to put in a slide about Netclay. Now, there's going to be a far better presentation about that today. And I believe 3 o'clock on stream 3 or around that time. Definitely check the schedule later in the afternoon anyway. David Ostro will be telling you more about Netclay, but that is another project of Tetra. And if you're looking for an easier way to use a mouse or connect with a computer, that was designed by volunteers in Ottawa. They were the design team, and now we are getting Netclay out. So I'll leave that to Dave to talk about more, but look for that later in the schedule. And then I did just want to, yes, Ruby?
Oh, sorry, I was just putting my hand up to mention about some additional information later. Why don't you finish this first, and then I'll mention it.
Okay, I just wanted you to know I saw it. So.
Okay, thanks.
And I know I've talked quite a bit, so we're almost done. I just wanted to put this here because this is another one of our societies, the Vancouver Adapted Music Society. And of course, music is another thing that connects us all. And I just wanted to show this because this is another example of a Tetra device. This is a young fellow here, and it's a great story. He has muscular dystrophy. He can't hold a guitar anymore. And he literally learned how to play guitar through Guitar Hero. And he has skills and passion, but he just doesn't have the ability to hold a guitar. So this is a modified lap tray. You can see it fits around him. And then it comes, it can be removed from the chair when he's done. So I just, you know, that's when I see this slide, that's what I think of today. Hopefully you can make your own music. Hopefully we can help you on your own journey. And I just wanted to put that in because that's another thing that Tetra can do, is help you connect with your passions. So again, this is who I am, Eric Mullen Dyke, National Coordinator. I do have a toll-free number. I am working from home a lot of the time just due to social distancing, but thanks to our tech person, David Fong, I'm on email all the time, and any messages that you do call in the toll-free or on my phone at the office gets forwarded to me. So I do want to emphasize, even though we're doing things a little bit differently, Tetra's still there for you, and we can still connect, and I thank you. That concludes the presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing, and now I'm going to be happy to take some time to answer some questions. So I think, people are still with me. So how have we done so far? And I see George Shipley's contact information has been put in the chat. Thank you so much. I am not the fastest typer in the world. Yes, and again, this is also being recorded as well. So if you wanted to rewatch, and Ruby, you had a question or wanted to add something.
Yeah, I wanted to add something, and I also first just wanted to say great job. I mean, Tetra does a lot across the country. We've done a lot to pull everybody together. There's so much happening. That was a really great overview. Thank you, Eric. The contact information for George Shipley was because Joseph was asking for how to contact the workshop. So that's pasted in there. I just wanted to flag for you that I got a couple of messages. Some people are interested, and this is great for our Tetra regional coordinators who are going to be presenting. And Eric, you've already highlighted, there are 3 streams with 3 distinct links and different schedules. So Odin, our trusty neighborhood tech friend, has posted those links and that information in the chat for anybody who is interested in moving around. And then lastly, Leonard had a question. I just want to make sure that you saw that. Leonard, do you want to jump in?
No, I'm just wondering whether all the people attending this session, anybody has never heard of Tetra. I mean, otherwise we are just preaching to the converted, right?
Yeah. Are there? So, did everybody hear? Are you hearing about Tetra for the first time today? Is what Leonard's asking.
Yeah.
Or this morning.
This isn't my first time hearing about Tetra, but this is the first meeting that I've been a part of. So it's nice to see. Like I am a student at UBC, and so my kind of extent is working on projects with my team at UBC, but I haven't seen like the whole structure and the extent that Tetra has in North America. So that's been really interesting for me.
Well, I hope you are inspired.
And is that you, John?
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a shout out because John's going to be part of our session right after this. John and another one of our volunteers from Edmonton are going to try and design Tetra solutions in real time right after this on this stream. And yeah, John and I just started talking, and he's taken on his first project designing a hockey stick holder. So, and John of his own accord said, I'd love to interact with some clients and design some devices, but I wanted to know more about Tetra. So John's a brand new volunteer to our Vancouver chapter. And I'm glad Joseph was able to get more information about the woodworking shop. And hopefully, you are going to learn, even if you have heard of Tetra before, you learn more information. And hopefully new people do continue to join. I do want to mention as well, we have people joining through Facebook. And last I heard, I think up to 50 people were joining this stream. So we are hoping, and again, all of this is going to be recorded. So if you didn't catch it today, or you wanted to take more time to ask your questions, you can always keep on learning. So.
And John, and for everybody else on the call, Leonard, who asked the question about, is anybody on here who hasn't heard of Tetra before? Leonard started the chapter at Memorial University in St. John's, Newfoundland. So we've got good connections with universities.
Oh, well, I happened to work there at that time, so that's the only reason. So I said, wow, great time to abuse the system, right?
Well, no, you empowered the system, and that's what Tetra's about.
Right.
That's what Tetra's about. Is Paul Chermak? He had the engineering skill, and he wanted to share that. And Tetra is just like knowledge. It's best when it's shared. So it's great to see you, Leonard. And again, you have been doing this since 1996. So you're far too modest, because I know you're very passionate about it. And as I said, John, thanks for joining us. And of course, we welcome other students across Canada, or any way that you want to use your skills. So it's 9:45, so we definitely still have some time. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but don't be shy. Is there any other questions?
I I just want to make a comment, Eric. This is Jacques Courteau here.
Hello, Jacques.
Hi. Well, I've been using the Tetra workshop, the wood shop at ICORD for a number of years now. And it's nice to see that sometimes what comes around goes around, because in the time that I've used the workshop, I've been able to make some assistive devices for the gym just upstairs from the workshop. So sometimes when you join one of the activities of the Disability Foundation, you end up participating in another one. So don't think that all you're doing when you join as a client is to benefit from the services that you receive. You can also contribute to somebody else's use of an assistive device.
Yeah, I have a comment. It's Christine from Ottawa, and this is the first time over the last 2 months I've learned about Tetra. I didn't know about Tetra before. So by hearing your presentation, Eric, you gave me a lot of hope about where I can access adaptation for my home.
Well, that's what today is all about, and that's awesome. And I should say we have a very active chapter in Ottawa with very active volunteers. Again, when I had that slide about Netclay, our Ottawa volunteers designed that. Over on stream 1, which is about to start in 13 minutes, our facilitator for that day is our Ottawa chapter coordinator, Zara. So, and sorry, did you say your name was Christine?
Yes. Yes.
So, and I don't know if you and I were emailing before today.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah. So I have your contact information, Christine, and as I said, it was my honor to help you. So I will definitely make sure that you and Zara connect.
Yeah.
And she is right in Ottawa, so we do have a chapter there. I will just give a quick breakdown for those who are attending from different places. So our head office again is in Vancouver. We are open. Again, we are doing respective social distancing. People are working in different locations, but today could not happen without so many people. So I want to thank all the members of the team there. We have chapters in Calgary, Lethbridge, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Regina, and where we don't have a chapter, we still could have volunteers there, and our coordinators still try to connect. And as you've seen, like we're meeting today virtually, you could have something created and designed virtually. So if you go to our website and you think, oh shoot, there's no chapter there, that doesn't mean help isn't possible. So what could happen, like for example, in Vancouver, we'll get project requests from the island. And then our volunteers will meet with somebody on the island over Zoom. They'll design something from face-to-face meetings and then mail it out. As I mentioned, we have a chapter in Ottawa, but not only that, 9 chapters. So Metro Toronto, Peel, York, Hamilton, extremely active chapter, London, Guelph. So all kinds of things happening there. And then again, our Atlantic provinces, you've already met the face of our Newfoundland chapter, Dr. Leonard Lai. And we also have a regional coordinator there, Andrew Jansen, working in Halifax. And we have a Halifax coordinator. We have someone in Fredericton. Throughout BC, we do projects in Surrey, Burnaby, Kelowna, Vernon, Kamloops. So if you're not sure how we can help with where you live, contact us. And Christine, thanks so much. And again, there's going to be all kinds of things happening on other streams. You've heard me talk about if you wanted to help tell our story. On stream 2, you're going to hear a presentation from our communications person. So you're definitely going to get to know more about Tetra. And I thank everybody again for joining today, because it's no fun to present to yourself. So I always believe whenever you do a presentation, the audience plays a huge part. So thank you so much.
I do have another question. I cannot attend the other sessions like now, but will I be able to access the presentation again when they're over, or?
Yes, I think they're going to be played either on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. And I will say, just so everybody knows, it's being recorded right now. And the reason why we're doing that is exactly the scenario you described, Christine. Everybody has things going on throughout the day. So I will definitely look into how you can access those links to have, you know, the information that you want or discover it, find out about it later today. So
Thank you. And I look forward to hearing back from Zara in Ottawa. We were in touch by email, but we haven't yet met about my problem I have in my home. So I look forward to meeting with Zara. Yeah.
well, she started as an engineer herself, so she loves to connect with people and she loves to solve problems. And you and I can also stay in touch, and I'm sure you will connect.
Yeah.
And I hope that we are able to help you have a solution to your challenge.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
You are very welcome. Is there, in the time we have left, is there any other questions? Ruby, is there anything else I should promote?
Oh, you've done such a great job. I think you've covered it all. I think the biggest message always is, if there are any questions, reach out to us. We've got people across the country, of course. Eric, if it's okay, I'm going to go check out Stream 1, the university clubs, okay?
Absolutely. I do see in the chat that we have Cody and we have John. So I have the 2 volunteers for the next thing we're going to do. So I'm appreciative of that. So, but thanks so much for the time, Ruby and Leonard. And I hope so far so good. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Eric.
You're very welcome.
And Eric, 2 more teammates at UBC are going to join in as well. We're going to
Awesome.
have Ella and Dannon.
Awesome. Perfect.
Hey, Cody. Nice to see you a year later.
Hey.
What are you doing?
I remember.
Sorry?
It's weird everybody being virtual, but this is awesome. How are you?
It is. Have a great session, you guys.
Cool. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Eric, I'm going to the university stream.
Oh, so you're, okay, so you're not going to be, are you going to be one of the designers at 10, or do you want your classmates to do that?
Oh,
I have you helping do real-time designs on this stream.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's happening on this stream. The university one is about university clubs. I'm just going to mute my microphone for a little bit so I can get a drink of water, and then we'll start right around 10.